evening, everyone. On this very special occasion and evening, where in a while we will say goodbye to the current city poet of Groningen, Lilian Zielstra, and of course to hear the announcement of who will be her successor, the new city poet for the city of Groningen for the coming 2 years. And very welcome to you also, Antjie. All the way from Cape Town, South Africa, but coming actually from Rotterdam, where you were last night performing with your very dear friend Tom Lanois. I feel deeply honored to be able to interview, and quite nervous, I have to admit, because you are such a superhero to me. Your books and your poems have accompanied me through so many stages and experiences in my life, and well, to sit here and be able to engage in a conversation with you is really very, very special, but I feel a little bit intimidated. But I would like to start this evening by asking you to read something, please.
Ik wil lees uit hoe alles hier verandert. Maar my Nederlands is sleg, né? So ek lees maar met 'n Afrikaanse aksent. Dis alles foto's van die Vrystaat waar ek vandaan kom. My moeder geloof heilig in die mythe van Kroonstad. As jy eenmaal met jou voete in het water van die Valsrivier hebt gestaan, tussen die wilgen, dan raak jy in zijn ban. En jy ontkomt er nooit meer aan. Waar jy daarna ook gaat, waar ter wêreld jy ook zult woon, en naamloos verlangen sal altyd in jou blijven schroeien. En dat verlangen neem pas af, als je weer op de rivieroever staat en de geluiden hoort van de meesvliegenvanger en de duiven, de blonde zandbanken ziet, die zich als linten uitstrekken rond het riet, de vinken als juwelen ziet flitsen in de zachtgroene samenhang van de wilgen. Als je door het water waat, met een warme oppervlakte en koude onderstroom en de geur van bast en aarde inademt, zegt ze. En daarom wil ze na de eerste zware zomerregens altijd per se naar de rivier op de boerderij worden gebracht. Moeizaam baant ze zich met haar kieries in weg naar de oever. Waat het water in alsof ze een gebed is. En geeft zich over aan de stroming. Als we haar bij de doorwaadbare plaats weer zien, heeft een volkomen vrede bezit van haar genomen. This is part of our farm, was part of our farm. And here is a conversation between me and 2 old comrades of mine, 2 black people from the small town. We meet in Joburg and now we have a conversation. Nog zoiets waar ek zo'n hekel aan heb. Wanneer blanken het net doen of ze zo'n meelij hebben met de armen, zegt Ganga. Maar wel de zwarte elite misbruiken om hun eigen bevoorrechte posities goed te praten. Je kunt hoog springen of laag springen, maar blanken ontkennen gewoon alles. Malcolm X zei niet voor niks dat racisme op een Cadillac leek. Er is ieder jaar een nieuw model. Het nieuwste model is de ontkenning door de blanken. Oké, then I say, ik wil, wit mensen moet probeer saam met swartes wees en swartes aanvaar as the majority. Onzin, bid Mamukwa teen Ganga. Sy kan toch nooit zwart worden? Sy blijft altijd een, hoe werd Max de Pre pas ook weer genoemd, een kangoeroe. Haar mense wonen hier al generaties, ze overleven, maar wij zien haar als een kangoeroe, import. Maar wij mogen haar en wij leven met haar. En sy mag ons op de een of andere manier en wil liever bij ons wonen. Ik ben sprakeloos. Nota bene, een kut kangoeroe, rondspringen in de Vrystaat. Ik was liever iets anders, een eucalyptus bijvoorbeeld. Is gegarandeerd ook import. Maar je kunt je het Zuid-Afrikaanse landschap niet zonder voorstellen. Dorpjes, boerenerven, spoorrails, wouden, windbreken. De eucalyptus torent hoog in zoveel herinneringen. Hij wordt gebruikt in mijnen, als hekpaal, voor meubels. Het is een nuttige boom, een windscherm. Oké, er wil niks onder groeien. Hij verbruikt meer water dan andere bomen. Maar hij heeft tortelduiven in zijn bladeren en schapen in zijn schaduw. En waar het woest en ledig is, daar groeit hij. En hij geeft heerlijke honing. Het punt is, zegt Kanga, dat wij elkaar niet de hele tijd hoeven te knuffelen, als wij maar een beetje vriendelijk en zorgzaam met elkaar omgaan. And this is our home, where I grew up. Door toedoen van zwervers is het treinstation platgebrand en de resten staan daar maar. De zandstenen muren zwart geblakerd, de fundering doet dienst als toilet. Weet je, is mijn moeder. Zij wonen in een gebouw totdat het is uitgewoond. Geen benul van onderhoud. De stad staat vol lege gebouwen, geraamten waar een bestemming voor wordt gezocht. Jouw middelbare school is nou een kantorencomplex, het oude nonnenklooster een centrum voor beroepstraining, de pastorie een autobandenzaak. Op straat is het een drukte van belang van auto's en mensen. Zie je nou, waar zijn de blanken? Waar zijn wij? Op het eerste gezicht voert zwart de boventoon in de stad. Ja, maar op de verjaarsdag van uw zoon waren toch heel wat blanken? Ja, maar wij zijn als insecten levend onder een steen. Pas worden die, wanneer die wordt opgetild, zie je ons rondkruipen.
Thank you so much. And from what book? I think it's Alan Paton. Ah, but your land is beautiful. Am I right? Cry the beloved country.
Yeah.
Seeing these photos, I'm reminded of that and the poem about this river. Are there still such places to be found in South Africa, or is that just part of our memories?
Well, the river that my mother used to swim in, you can't swim in anymore because most of the towns, municipalities have become bankrupt and cannot zuiver die water goed genoeg. So it's
Risk hygiene.
yeah.
Okay, so it is part of what has become our memories then, to a certain extent. Antjie, I would like to open this conversation in this evening by asking you, how are things going in South Africa?
We are better, in short. It was terrible under the previous president. We knew it was terrible, but now with this Zondo Commission looking into the corruption, this is an ettergat. It just keeps on boiling up the corruption. And then when you want to despair and think, this is never going to become right, one remembers that apartheid in itself was a corrupt system. So it's not that somewhere at the back was some clean landscape from which this corruption came. It was apartheid. Colonialism is a groter corruption. Yeah. So, but we are better.
Yeah, many people will disagree with you, I think, because what the eye sees and the day-to-day experiences, especially also what one reads about in the media and witnesses on social media. But I guess things take time, right? Are we patient enough?
It's not. I think we have forgotten too easily how things were, and for whom the country worked well, and for whom the rivers was nice, and for whom the fields were clean. And for, so I find that for the first time I'm no longer living in in a country where you can hide away from what is wrong. We live cheek to jowl, cheek to cheek with poverty. You see it every day, hungry people, impoverished people. You see it when you come from the airport, you see it in your street. I see it in the classes at the university. And you become aware, when people talk about privilege, what they mean. I have excellent students. But they are living all the time on the edge. It's the first generation studying, but there's nothing. There's no network. There's no safety. It's just, and then they fall off. And that is perhaps what white privilege is. It is that it's a second chance. It's you inherit a mother who's on your side. You inherit a father who has looked after you. You know. So it's more of an honest country now than the one that I grew up in, and I prefer that. I also prefer the violence in a way. The violence, according to Fanon, is the only way in which you can get rid of the anger. It is to take it out on the white body, according to him.
Yeah, this is frightening words, owning a white body myself. It is a
And
kind
that is what makes it for me, coming here for a month is the nicest thing, is to get rid of my skin.
But just briefly to stay with the diagnosis of the current situation, are we better off with Zuma gone?
The man couldn't read. I mean, the stories about his corruption long ago said he can't count, so he doesn't know how much money he has stolen. He just knows he must keep on stealing because he has 9 wives. And they say, you have enough, you have enough. No, but I don't know what is enough. What is enough for 9? No, this is a sort of stupidity that has no end. Eh? And then when I'm saying that 6 years schooling he has had, who's responsible for that?
All right, but there are exciting things to happen in the country. It's election year. Are you willing to predict? What is your forecast for the outcome?
I'm just a poet, eh?
Okay.
No, I'm always impressed by how well informed and well thought through the average South African is. When you listen to, you don't look at the tweets, but when you listen to the phone-in radio stations, and people phone in from rural areas, and it's young people and old people, there's some kind of insight into non-racialism, into non-corruption, and people begin more and more to say the phrase enough. Why are we not using the phrase I have enough? I have enough to live by. Why these excesses? Why is these excesses necessary? But then also there is the huge poverty. That scares me. But it's not, we are a microcosm, actually, I think, of the world. Europe is cheek to jowl with Africa. And if Africa becomes unlivable, people drift to where it's more livable.
So if that is the given, we are in a world where we are cheek to jowl with one another, and there are these enormous disparities and inequality on a material level, but also in the way it resonates through, like education, ability to have a grip on a complex world. What then is the role of the poet in this to make sense of that? And I want to specifically ask, you have written about the role of the poet to imagine or to create another space, to take the reader to another space where he or she then can start thinking about these issues. What is that other space?
It is a difficult thing to think through in South African context, because the literature is so divided between English and Afrikaans and the indigenous languages. The literature is divided between people who have been raised with English literature or raised with the canon in Afrikaans literature, and people who come in from other languages and bringing their own thinkings and thoughts in. And I think more and more that is why non-fiction is selling so well with us, because we want, in a country, an apartheid country, you want to know what the other's childhood was like, what their lives are like, how they remember. So that area of literature is doing very well. Poetry has become, and I'm here on an edge. For me personally, poetry searches for where you can't breathe. It gives you that breath. But so it tries to say what is not sayable. But I'm aware that there's something Western and something perhaps old-fashioned in that. Because I see the young poets are more and more linking being a poet to being a celebrity, to being having lots of likes and, you know, a performance, and I'm trying to listen to what they are saying, because the moment that you become a performance poet, you depend on an audience. And for me, it seems you begin to lose some of that honesty that you need, that this is not popular what I'm saying, but it must be said, to this is what people will like. But having said that, the poets that I do listen to, oral poets today, are heavily critical of white people, but then also of the corrupt black elite.
So is that what needs to be said? Is that what is lacking in the day-to-day conversations, that kind of criticism?
But you must remember, I think often back to Afrikaans literature in the beginning, it is you use poets to make bring a group into being, to make a language to bring it into being. And I can see that black writers and poets are bringing them and their communities into being. So, and that's why so one has to, as a white poet, think carefully, do I have something to say anymore? Is it contributing to anything? And more I begin to see my role as one to nurture talent. We have a creative writing.
Yes, I want to ask you more about that in a while as well. So we'll return to, I hope someone's taking notes of all the points. We have to come back to violence, your involvement in the New Young Voices. But this role, I mean, this is really difficult to juggle all of the different hats that you need to put on. Being a writer, being a celebrity, it is important for book sales and for your public persona, how people need to recognize you. But also the poet.
No, I'm not. I make a constant point when people want to, oh, we want your photograph as a role model. I'm nobody's role model. Nobody's role model. I want to make some big scandals until I'm 80. I want to use terrible words. I am nobody's role model. And I'm no icon. I'm not. So I try.
And exactly for those reasons, you are. You are. I know of groupies here in the Netherlands who follow wherever you go. No, you have a big following of young people, young women also, younger students. But what I want to ask really was, what is the relationship between those different roles, and also especially the role of the poet as public intellectual, this space that you have earned for yourself and this right through various processes to be able to say, here I am and now I can say what I feel needs to be said, that cannot otherwise be said. How do you negotiate those positions?
No, it is difficult because I won my voice or made or forged my voice during apartheid, where you felt you had to speak out and live out. To say you were against apartheid was reasonably safe, but to live against apartheid was much more difficult. But now you have to think of there's also a consequence if a white voice is saying something. And one of the most obvious examples is one's love for Tutu or one's love for Mandela. The fact that so many white people adores Mandela means that black people are suspicious. Why are the whites loving him? Why do they like him so much? There's something wrong in him. So now you destroy the good that Mandela and Tutu does through their lives and through their work. You make it harder for him because here you are in the hallelujah choir all the time. So it's also good to shut up and decide not, here you don't speak, there you don't speak. I don't know, I think it's to speak less. It is perhaps also to write less, but it is to do more. And the country decides what it wants you to do. And I find it immensely valuable. I'm at a university that is run by black people. I'm in a faculty that's run by black people. I want me to do this, they want me to do that, they want me. And I'm sometimes surprised. Oh, okay. But it feels to me I can contribute because they judge what they want of me. And then I do it well, I hope.
And I guess this is really demanding quite a mind change for many white South Africans to accept that they are no longer or at all in the position to decide how to do things, but they are told this is...
See, that's why we have to learn to live as a powerless minority. Usually we're a powerful minority. And there's also, there's also fables around us. So we are much more powerful than we actually are. And people see us as much more than we really are. And some of my friends who are gay are very much against what I'm saying. Says no one needs to live as a powerless minority. All minorities should be present. But I do think we need a course, white people, just a short course or a long course of how to live as under orders of others. So that when you stand up and say, no, I don't agree, I don't think this is right, but that you come from another place instead of saying, no, this is, where you come from the top, you come from a different place.
And is it then a small step to make from this point of shutting up, listening, learning how to take this new space, to this translation project that you are engaged in, that is fantastic. It is very inspiring. Maybe you can briefly tell something about that, and then also how that relates to the kind of voices that we have to give space to and give space to be heard.
You become aware of the silences in our literature, and Afrikaans has sort of despite not being the official other language anymore, boomed up in very interesting ways. The fiction prize last year, of the biggest fiction prize in the country, the 5 books that were nominated, 3 of them were by Afrikaner men. They wrote it in Afrikaans and then they themselves translated it into English. And you think, what's wrong with English that suddenly these voices in Afrikaans has become so interesting? So the sound, the South African literary sound, is Afrikaans, is English, and then I don't hear anything else. And so all my life I've wondered, because there's lists of books that they say, this is a classic in Sesotho, this is a classic in isiZulu, oh, is it Xhosa, this is the Shakespeare of it. What are they saying? What's in their books? Well, and what makes them even more interesting is they're not written for the white ear. They're written for other black people.
Fellow speakers.
Fellow speakers. And so there's a lot of, the editors at the publishing houses can say to you, you immediately, on the first page, you know, this book has been written for the white ear. Because there's just something in there, that tone that it's for whites. Now these books are, yeah, and so I finally, after many, many years, finally got money from the National Institute for Social Science Research to translate 8 texts. 2 novels from isiXhosa, 2 novels from isiZulu, 1 novel of Sepedi, 1 novel of Sesotho, and then a play, beautiful play in Sesotho, and then an anthology. And that is, yeah.
And these are older texts.
Are all older texts.
Mid-early 20th century.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes written in an orthography that no one can read anymore. So it's not necessarily translated only for whites, it's translated for black people themselves. For me, the most wonderful moment was when one of the translators, whom we will see just now, Nkosinati, said, I've always heard about this book from Mkai, but I never knew what was in it. So even among themselves, the different languages were kept apart from their different classics.
And just logistically, because you don't speak all of them.
No.
How did you do it?
We small committees, 2 or 1 or 3 on every text.
Okay. And it's going to be published as a series.
African Pulse series by Oxford University Press.
And will it be used in schools? Because this is really the kind of stuff that you think, the new generation should read this. We should all read this.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, I hope so. It should be, it's interesting because all these texts are just before the arrival of whites, or Christianity has moved in and the disturbances it creates. But the pace, the storylines, the poetry in it. I mean, all those books have praise poetry in it constantly, as if it's a normal thing that we sit here and someone just begins to recite poetry. Yeah, it's lovely.
And can young readers, is that world recognizable enough, do you think, for them to recognize what is of value to them today? Or is it sort of something quaint? This is from us, from long ago, we should know it. Or do they really?
The one book has a famous opening paragraph that is now said in Sepedi more than once. And when we launched the book, we first read it in Sepedi and then in English. And then one young girl stood up and said, there it is, it's depression, it's depression. You know, I go home and my mother says, how are you? And I said, okay, but I no longer want to live. And then she says, don't come with this white people depression thing, no, we people, we must, here is depression. This first paragraph is depression. And I haven't thought of it as depression, but I'm very pleased that she has. And there's love stories in the sense that what is it that attracts you to someone? And what are the qualities that you look for in someone else?
So deeply human. And you brought us, you find the poem printed on your seats or on the floor maybe by now.
Okay, I'm reading it quickly. Nomkhosi of my father. It's by Vilakazi. I love you for your blackness, which is like the beginning of night, which lightens up cat's eyes. Those eyes are yours, Nomkhosi. I love you for your chest, which feeds my siblings, the milk whiter than snow. The snow is your beauty, Nomkhosi. I love you when you speak as if you are tired and don't want to. Oh, that's sort of reluctant. Not to, this is so nice geformuleer. Your eyes moving inside you in the shadows of long eyelashes. I see the beauty of maidens from Zululand who are long forgotten and dead. I see it striking like lightning behind the mountains. Your firm steps as you walk tire a young man courting. He passes you and then takes a glance backwards, watches you, and tears flow. I love you for the hair on your head. A black mamba of the forest with monkey ropes coiled around its body. It shines like fat. Where have you heard something like this before? The description of these plaits that black women uses for their hair. I was so thrilled when I read it. I love your teeth with their gap. They adorn your mouth like an arum lily. Ai, Here, it is so mooi. Of the pools of the water of Utugela, as if you don't eat at all. So wit is jou tande, jy lyk of jy net nooit eet, of rooiwyn drink of rook nie. I love you for your hands, which look like they touch no-ho. They bathe Nandi's children who bloom with beauty like you. Everyone loves you for all that is yours. I worship you as though you were not born on earth, but descended in heaven's basket. Can we hear the Zulu?
Nomkhosi kababa by B.W. Vilakazi. Ngikuthandela ubumnyama bakho obunjengokuhlwa kobusuku obukhanyisa amehlo makati lawo mehlo ngawakho Nomkhosi. Ngikuthanda ngesifuba sakho esiphakela usapho lwakwethu ngobiso lomhlophe kuneliqhwa iqhwa ngobuhle bakho Nomkhosi. Ngikuthanda lapho usukhuluma sengathi ukhathele kawusathandi namehlo akho enduluza phakathi emathunzini ezinkophe ezinde. Ngibona ubuhle bezintokazi zakwaZulu ekade zakhohleka zafa. Ngibubona bunyazima njengonyazi lusithwe ezintaba. Ukuqishazela kwakho hamba ukhathaza insizwe yokweshela ikudlule eqedi kujeqeze ikubuka ikhala ezimaconsi. Ngikuthandela unwele ekhanda oluyimamba emnyama yehlathi izibulunge ngemihluhluwe icwebezele njengamafutha. Ngithanda amazinya akha netsako ahlobisa umlomo njengentebe yeziziba zamanzi othukela sengathi igawudli nakudla. Ngikuthanda nangezandla zakho engathi kaziliphathi igeja zigeza abantwana bakaNandi abaqhakaza ubuhle njengawe. Ngikuthanda ngakho konke kwakho nami ngikukhonze sengathi kawuzalwanga kulomhlabathi wehla ngezilulu zamaZulu.
There are so many things I still want to ask you. One thing maybe briefly, because I said I would like to return to it, is about anger. You wrote in the 1980s, ek skryf omdat ek woedend is. Is that still the case? And the anger that you referred to there, is it a different kind of anger than the one you referred to earlier? Or is there something similar in it?
It's different. It's an anger at growing up with a lie, and all the lies, all the lies about what black people are. And I don't have anger. I'm too old, I think, for anger, unfortunately. I'm sad more than I'm angry about the injustice of the world and about the suffering and how easy it has become for all of us to accept that we can do nothing about it, while all poverty is a manipulated system. It was made, deliberately made. Yeah, so I'm a bit surprised that people suddenly here in Europe is now about green and about, earth warming. You cannot look after the earth if you cannot look after one another. You cannot look after one another if you cannot look after the earth. So it's for me an escape to just choose one.
Yeah, it seems like either or kind of issue we have to put our money on, but it is really deeply intertwined.
Yeah.
You said last year when you received the Gouden Ganzenveer in Amsterdam, 'n taal kan goed wees vir mense wat swaar kry. And actually I would like to combine that idea with the new public awareness, so to speak. Of course, it's been there all along. For different versions of Afrikaans, Kaaps for example, and the way in which a different universe almost, that of the Cape Flats, of the poverty that you are talking about, is beginning to be expressed in that language. Can Afrikaans in that form be good for people wat zwaar kry, or can it also be in the other form? And can you tell us a little bit about these new developments in Afrikaans, maybe also in other languages in South Africa, the other variants, not the formal ones, the standard ones?
No, I think that's one of the problems of English, is that when a black writer arrives in English, he has been already in many ways privileged by good schooling and is cut off perhaps, while people who write in Afrikaans come really from rural areas and huge poverty. And I mean, the things that are coming into Afrikaans is just unbelievable. What is, I'm on a project, working on a project about abuse. But it brings also with it interesting challenges in the sense of what makes a story, what is it that you want to hear. It asks questions about, I love wordplay, te delf in taal, en like Tomla, jy gaan so in taal. And then people come with a very plain Afrikaans, clean Afrikaans, no adjectives, no adverbs, no strange verbs, just, en dit vorm interessante kontraste. Here, en ek meen armoede is, there's a, Nathan Trantral is writing for the Sunday newspaper every second Sunday. He writes about his life and his family's life. But it's an analysis of poverty wat ek nog nooit in my lewe So a lot of Afrikaans writers are reading that newspaper simply to get to that, because it's material. We don't know how people who are poor, how they live. You don't know. You don't know how they think and what is needed and in what will they. He won a prize. So statuetjie vir sy poetry volume. So he comes home. He says, is it koper of is it braas? Sy ma sê, nee, wat is braas? You will get nothing for it. Ja, maar kom ons gaan kyk, let us sell it and see what we get. Because we don't have food.
Antjie, we have to close off,
Yeah.
but in your mentor role for new and young voices, I think there are budding new young voices here in the room with us tonight as well. What advice would you like to give them? You've been a budding young writer yourself as well. You're not only a mentor.
No, I keep on saying read. Even if you feel, this one of this said, die Afrikaanse letterkunde is niks anders as droë wit poes nie. Now, okay. So, even if you read a literature that you feel is nothing but a dry white kant that you are reading, read it. Want uiteindelik, that is the literature in which you will move in. And that's how you find your place by deciding, ek gaan nou nie 'n poes wees nie, ek gaan 'n piel wees, or whatever. You know, you find a space for yourself in which you're going to be different. Is read.
Read. So, there you go, read. We don't have time for questions. I plan to take many questions from the audience. I'm very sorry about that, bad time management from my side, but thank you so much, Antjie, for engaging in conversation with me tonight. You promised to sign some books at the end of the evening, if I understood this correctly. Thank you very much for being willing to do that. And we are very happy to know that you will also be performing some of your poetry later tonight in the second half of this program. So I would like to thank you very much, and the audience with me, I think. Thank you.
Baie dankie.